Hey, what up, guys? Today we are fishing a public fish house, and I've actually got lucky and got to be the only one here. I'm going to try to give you guys some tips and some tricks about where to fish at, how to find fish in these public fish houses. And the first tip I can say to start off is that I like to take my rod tip and put it to the ceiling, and I would like to put my bait probably about that far underneath the water to start with. And I know that this fish house is a pretty deep fish house, so I like to take 1-2 pulls, and then that puts me pretty close to the brush, and I know where some fish are at. Another tip I can give you guys is kind of how to fish these houses. Is that once you get your depth set, and you can vary your depth and stuff. Is I like to take my rod, my rod and my line, and I kind of like just to pitch across. And then I like to put my rod about almost on top of the water, and that way you can get that slow fall. Especially if you're in here by yourself, you can really flip across, and you have all this work. You can get that fall come across, and you can catch those fish at those different depths. That way, it kind of helps you give you an idea of what depth everything is at. Right now, this time of the year, especially in my area, shad moves into these fish houses, and that doesn't necessarily mean the crappies also moved out, because that's so. How you kind of check that, how you fight through the shad is either you drop below them or you stay above them. A lot of times the fish will either be below or above, and that's how you kind of fight the shad in a fish house. The rod and reel setup is I have a 7-footer, and I have a small reel, and the line I used a 15-pound test braid, but in a high vis yellow. That way, I can see it, because a lot of these fish houses are really dark, and you can't really see that well in here. So, being able to see it, and I also have my finger on the line so I can feel it. Sometimes it's days where I can't feel it, and that way I can see the line move or jump or something like that. And this rod, I believe it's a medium action, so it's pretty sensitive on the top uphill. That way I can really feel a lot of bites. But it's also strong enough to actually lift up, because you do occasionally get a big bass or a saw guy that runs through here occasionally. That's one. Just like that, guys, we catch one. I had to pull one more time down from my original depth, and there he was. I don't think he's big enough to keep, but he was sure big enough to bite my bait, and it was a lot of fun. They gotta be 8 inches here, but I really don't keep anything below a 10. He's got a weird mark on him too. Go ahead and throw that one back. The color I'm using is it's just a different type of blue, and it's got a pink tail. I'm using an 1/8 ounce jig head. I've been starting to use a lot of 1/8 ounce. We get a lot of high wind, and I don't like using a split shot because it does put knots in your line. So I've just been using 1/8 ounce, and it's like a shad style body with just blue and pink. It's becoming my favorite color so far in the past year or so. I'm going to give you another quick tip about how to kind of work your bait in these houses, and anywhere actually if you're fishing crappie out on the main lake as well and out on the boat. Is I give small little shakes of my rod tip. If that doesn't work, I like to pop it. I also like to swim it, just kind of swim my rod one side and swim back. That gives kind of a small movements. I also sometimes I like to do this. I grab my line in my hand and I do a slow pull up, and that sometimes can trigger a fish as well. And you can put action in your rod as you slowly pull up as well. That was another one, guys. It's been a little bit pretty slow today. That one really got to go. Look at that, the jiggy right there in his mouth. Let's throw that one back too, guys. Another thing, guys, I can tell you kind of have an ideal of when the fish bite is just kind of get out and fish it. But I found out either early morning or late evening is the best times for me. But I've also done good in the afternoon. But those are the best times is the early morning and the late afternoons, or the late evenings. Maybe found a little school of them. That's the second one pretty quickly. That one's definitely a little too small. Let's throw that one back. Grab you, small one. Ooh, that's a good one now. Barely got that one.
Yeah, there's a crappie. 10, 12 inch out of there. Go down there and fish. Big time.
Hey guys, what's up? I completely forgot about finishing that video. Actually, a lot of people came in and just slipped my mind about finishing it. Ended up doing pretty decent. I had a few people give me some fish, so I ended up coming out I think about 13 keepers. I can give you guys another tip about this public fish houses, is that most of the brush piles are either in the corners or they're right in the middle. Like on the edges, and also sometimes there's maybe a log right in the middle. Also, don't be afraid to fish with a bunch of people, because sometimes by watching other people you can kind of get an idea of maybe what they're biting on, what color, what size. And also, don't be afraid to switch up your colors. Sometimes switching up colors makes a huge difference, because you could be next to the guy and he's catching a bunch of fish, and you just switch, and you're using the same color, and you just don't understand why you're not getting any fish. Switch up to a color, because that could be the key to either catching bigger fish than the guy next to you, or catching more fish than the guy next to you. But with all that being said, I'm actually on the way to the lake to film. Hopefully, get another video today, so be on the lookout for that video. But if there's anything, I know I probably missed some more details and stuff of what I do. But hopefully it all turned out well. I know a lot of those crappie houses are dark, so I'm hoping the GoPro picked up pretty decent. But yeah, don't be afraid to fish around a bunch of people. Also, another quick tip is kind of look on the floor of these crappie houses and see, and even including the public fish docks, and see what type of baits are being left behind. Because a lot of guys will use a bait, and instead of just throwing it in the trash, they throw it on the floor. So that can give you an idea of maybe what color they're biting on. But hopefully some of these tips helped you guys out, and hopefully you guys can get in some good fish in these public fish houses. With that being said, as always, go out, catch some fish, have some fun, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. See ya.